Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to the Mary D Talk Show. We are back for another fabulous, I'll say fabulous Monday, because normally I say beautiful Monday, but this is a fabulous Monday because the sun is shining. Unfortunately, low. I'm in Southern Cal. And I woke up this morning to the winds. That's the only thing about what's going on now. I don't know if it's windy in LA. I'm hoping it isn't, but here it's got to be going like 35, 40 miles an hour. I'm just looking outside right now. So I do, as I have in the last couple of weeks, say a prayer for those of you in LA that are suffering through this. Our heart goes out to each and every one of you. If you lost property or unfortunately, we have a loss of life through all of this. People have lost their lives through these fires. I mean, so our heart goes to you, all of you in the LA area. They're going through this. I'd like to thank you. Those of you are here, thank you, our live viewers. Hi, live viewers. Thank you, replay viewers. Hi, replay viewers. Replay viewers, you are important. Don't ever think that because you're watching the replay or even listening to the replay. I was at an event Saturday and they're like, Mary, I don't always see you live, but I watch the replay. That's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. I'm just glad for your support, people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I like to say hi to our executive producer, Oliver. Hi, babe. He's in the background, as you guys know. He didn't come out last year. You guys have to see. Well, I'm sure he's going to stick his head in one day this year so you can see what he looks like. People have said to me, it's so funny. We go places and they'll say, you talk about Oliver. We didn't know Oliver really existed. I'm like, yes, he exists, people. He's just a little quieter, but he's there. I promise you he's there. So I want to thank our supporters, our sponsors for the show. We have First Book Academy. Thank you. We have Front Page Publishing, the Idea Club. They are the sponsors. And if you'd like to be a sponsor, just contact me. Those of you are familiar, I'll put the number up in the email. You can send an email, either one, and you can be a sponsor for the show. So thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I kicked my shoes off for this show. I want to tell you because I am so excited. We have a guest here today, and I can't tell you. I admire her. I have so much respect for her. She is someone who I've met. We both are in the same writing class together, but I feel like I'm at kindergarten and she's at PhD level. Let's say at the difference, but at the same time, we're both creatives. Let me say that. So I'm really, really honored. I'm going to read some of her bio to you because if those of you that got to receive the emails, many of you do. The emails went out about, I think it was Wednesday. And those of you see the text messages went out this morning, but I just want to read to you just some of her accolades because I just want you to give you an idea of who we have in our presence today. This young lady's name is Okema T. Moore. She is an Emmy-nominated PGA producer. She is a writer, an actor, a rising director, and showrunner. She has created content for the following: for Lifetime, Netflix, Nickelodeon, DreamWorks, Fox, and Disney Marvel. I'm just impressed with that. Her unscripted content includes Kenya Burse's Clutch Academy. I hope I said that right. For BET and Beat Bobby Flay and the Kitchen for Food Network. Oprah's Color of Care Unowned and the Smithsonian Channel Founding in Color Season. On Founding in Color Season 2 on Peacock. And you can list Nomad with Carlton McCoy on CNN. Her scripted work has premiered at the following: Tribeca, ABFF, American Black Film Festival, Outfest, and more. Just think about just that alone. Those are just a few of the accolades. Okema has placed in a host of labs and fellowships. She was a branded directing fellow on the 2021 Minorities in Film, a semifinalist in the 2022 Black House Producers Lab, and a two-time and second rounder for Sundance Producers Track in 2021 and 2023. In 2023, Okema became a fellow for the Stowe Story Producers Lab and the Black Magic Collective Producers Lab, and a finalist for the Commercial Directors Diversity Program. And thus far in 2024, she was a second rounder for the Netflix X Black House Unscripted Producers Fellowship. You go, Okema. In addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, most recently, Okema developed and produced the docuseries Down in the Valley, starring P. Valley's, I want to say Nicco Annan for STARZ, and won a Silver Telly Award for her commercial with Mastercard. She also produced this year's HBO short film winner at ABFF, her second winning in the festival, which makes the project Oscar qualified. She received an honorable mention in Pano's Producing Micro Grant, a writing fellowship for women going places. For women going places. And then In addition, also, she said, as I'm reading, Producing Micro Grant. Okay. And she did a live stage reading for the 2024 Essence Fest for short film version of her comedic script, Purses and Floors. She is also a fellow of the C5 Entertainment Showrunners Academy 2023. As an actor, Okema can be seen on season 2 of both Amazon Prime's Harlem and All Black Makeup and Breakup, as well as the 2023 BET holiday film So Fly Christmas, starring Tashina Arnold and Tammy Roman. Okema is a proud member of the Sigma Gamma Rho sorority, or SG Rho, and the consulting producer on the sorority's Bronze Telly Award-winning documentary. She serves on the board of New York Women in Film and TV and the Black TV and Film Collective, and is a member of the New York Television Academy, SAG and AFTRA, and the Actors Equity Association. She is committed to continuing to lift while she climbs, building up women, queer, indigenous, POC, and especially Black female identifying creatives as she simultaneously strives toward continued success in her own creative career. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to introduce to you the one and only Okema T. Moore. Are you there, Okema?
I'm here. Wow, that was a lot of stuff. That was long. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, I want to give you your flowers because you know what we do? And I'm guilty of this too, by the way. We make ourselves smaller. Don't. As I said,
I was like, that's long. Maybe it's too
no,
long.
it's not. It's not. I know you may think because let me just say this to you. If I didn't read that, would everybody know that? No. We want to know. But I tell you why I read it too, honestly. I read it a couple of times, to be honest, because I want people to know who's in the room.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you put the time in, and I know what it takes to create. Creating is not an easy thing, ladies and gentlemen. It takes hours. Look, hours. It's not, it's just, and even when you feel like you've done it right and you get it right, it's still, there's so much blood, sweat, and tears in it. Mm-hmm. Until you are just like, you're so glad. This is what I think. That's why people cry when they get those Oscars.
Yeah. When you get any award, we were Oscar qualified this year, but we didn't get shortlisted, but it still was such an achievement for us, right. for this little short film that not only could, but did, right? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, yeah. And now, we didn't get the Oscar shortlist, but we did get the NAACP nomination. So, we're proud. We're really, really proud.
Yes, that's huge. You have to be, because, you could do all that and not be not.
There's a lot of people that are making wonderful work and it's not being, you know, globally or even nationally recognized. So we know how privileged and proud we are, but that's why we also make sure that we amplify other people that we know in our categories, though we're up against each other, you know, and of course we want to win. We also know how much it means to ensure that we're talking about our work, of course, but also making sure that like the other people in our categories are great. I mean, one of the other films in our category for the NAACP award is called My Brother and Me. I met the filmmaker in March of 2024. I was flying out to LA to go speak at a conference, a creative conference. He was my Uber driver and we just happened to start talking.
Wow.
And we both were in a host of festivals this season and we're both up for the award.
Wow. Your Uber driver.
My Uber driver.
What are the odds of that? Wow. But you know what? He still has to eat.
Listen, I have not had a consistent gig in over a year. It's rough out here. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. You gotta do what you have to do. And he's making, and then I know, where was I? And they were telling me the work they're doing. I think it was DoorDash. And I remember thinking,
if I had a car, I mean, I'm in New York. If I had a car, I would do Uber.
Yeah.
But I'm little and I'm a woman. So that's the only thing that concerns me about that kind of stuff for me, because it's New York and people are a little nuts. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I have don't let so family, Mary D. Welsh talk show family. Don't let social media fool you into thinking having a job is whack. It's not. Being hungry is whack. Being broke is whack. Not being able to do the things that you need to do for yourself, like feed yourself, shelter, clothe yourself appropriately for the weather and the elements, that is whack. So please don't let people, or social media specifically, or people, and half the people that you're watching that say that are either scamming, frauding, or have no job either, or someone is taking care of them. So don't let people make you think that having a regular, quote unquote, day job is a bad thing as a creative. It's not. It is a means to an end. And it is more important to do what you have to do to set yourself to be able to do what you want to do than to not do what you need to do and then be in need. Anybody got time for that? You can be a hungry artist, but ain't nobody trying to be out here being a starving one, okay?
Come on. But you know what it is? You're telling the truth, because I think people need to hear. I know I have a cousin who's an artist and he worked for the gas company.
Listen, one of my big brothers and mentors he was the showrunner for BET's Tales. He was an executive producing writer on East New York on CBS. He has several projects that he's about to greenlight this year, God willing. He retired from Verizon right before he took the East New York writing job. So when he was at Tales, he was still a supervisor at Verizon, folks, because he wanted to make sure he got his full pension before he got out of there. Yeah. So now when the strikes were going on, he's a WGA writer. He couldn't do nothing, but he had a pension to fall back on because he has a home to pay for, right? And when it's been slow, fortunately, he has his pension, which fills in some gaps. XYZ, he gets his residual CBS, East New York was only one season, so they didn't go into syndication money, but it was big enough and on prime time. So those residual checks are nice. But he has his, working at Verizon the whole time he was chasing these dreams. He didn't direct his first episode of television until he was almost 55.
Wow. What's his name?
His name is Patrick Coker.
Okay. All right.
And I met Patrick when I was a sophomore in college and he was an adjunct professor.
Wow.
I had no idea that he was into film and TV. And at that time, all I wanted to be was a singer. So I was in music at that time. I wasn't really thinking about acting anymore. I had done that as a child and I was out of it. And so for us to then come back together and be in the space is wild, because when I met Patrick, I was all of 18. And I was just trying to shoot on somebody's stage.
I didn't even know you were a singer, Okema.
I started in music.
I did not know that. See, I'm learning too. It's because I've known Okema as a writer and her writing.
And I'm not a writer. I am a director and producer who writes. I'm not going to say I'm a writer who does all the other stuff. I'm a director and producer who writes.
That is still big because you still have a skill. and no matter what.
No, indeed. But I will be very honest. Writing is my most insecure space.
Get out of here. I would never have guessed that.
I've been procrastinating on my beat sheet for weeks, and I'm now in trouble for it. So let me tell you, I've been running from the work for a while because my insecurity about my writing is high. Yeah. And I just got to a place where it was like, it's been very hard for me economically. And well, sis, if you sit down and write the show, you can sell it and get some money. So what we doing? But I'm always transparent because I feel like not enough people are. And then people get into this space and they don't realize how hard it is because people don't tell the truth. This stuff is hard. It is hard. And like, no matter how much other people look at you and see success, you have to see that. And I'm still working on seeing that. I don't see myself like a lot of other people see myself. There's spaces that I'm like, I can produce in my sleep, whether it's scripted or unscripted. I can produce in my sleep. That I bust my tail on that. That's cool. My directing is coming along as well. I'm pretty confident there too, actually. My writing, I've been writing longer than I've been directing, honestly, but not for longer form. And so it's a scary space, especially because I know, like Mary, I know some phenomenal writers. And you have to remember that you can't compare yourself to everybody else because it's not fruitful or productive. But I'm also human, right? I am a spirit living the human experience. And the human in me is big on comparison because I deal with insecurity a lot.
I think that's who we are as creatives, Okema. And though we hear this in literally every class of don't compare yourself. And what do? Compare ourselves. Because
it's hard not to. The thing about it is I don't run from the fact that I do it innately. I just no longer allow it to cripple me.
Right.
Because it got to a place where I was business partners with someone who knew my insecurities and my weak places, and they took well advantage to manipulate me and consistently lambast me into those spaces to make me think I wasn't good enough. And their words lived rent-free in my head for many, 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 many years. And I'm still purging them. And I know that trauma is a very big part of my fear when it comes to writing, and I psych myself out. And so I'm consistently working my own prayer time and with my therapist to like evict those thoughts that I'm not a good enough writer or that I can't write. Because I mean, my writing has done some things. So clearly it's not terrible, but it's not where I want it to be either. And so, but I also have utilized that trauma as a way to consistently kind of procrastinate, because every time I go to write, I'm just like, it's not gonna be good anyway. Why bother? Let me go do this.
Don't say. And see, mine is because I started as a children's book author, so I've had to back away from that to go into screenwriting, and that's because I had success with that and number one books, all that, and I'm thinking then when I move into screenwriting, I'm not getting the success at the same level. So I feel like, well, maybe I need to go back over here, The
thing about it is, we also don't live in a world where it has to be or.
I know.
I'm a very big believer in the word and.
Yeah.
Because when I first started to branch out and become a multi-hyphenate, it was a lot of Black women who told me that I should not and could not and it wouldn't benefit me. I had a lot of Black women in my circle tell me, you're doing too many things. Nobody's going to know what to do with you. You're going to be a jack of all trades and nobody's going to feel like you can master any. But what they didn't realize is, for me, before I put a slash between any kind of title, the slash defines how much work I put into that thing. I can't afford our class, but I'm here because I need it.
Yeah. I see, that's telling a lot right there. It's telling too that, we're both doing the same thing. We know that what we're getting is just so much more than what we're putting out. And I'm going to we have some comments from our audience. I always want to include the audience and make sure they get a chance to say something. They're saying, it says, me to you, made it. Yay, me to you. I'm glad you made it. You must have came from the text messages. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hi.
Antonio. Hi, Antonio. Antonio is a regular, just so you know.
Okay. Hey, Antonio.
He comes every show. And his mother is Lori. They are in, I want to say, South Dakota.
Okay.
I think she told me it's 13 below there right now.
No, thank you. It's 19 here and I don't like it. So no, thank you.
We talked this morning and I was like, I said, that's
it's 19 degrees here and I don't like it.
That's why I live in Southern California. I said, we pay a lot to live here, but it will never be 13 below here. That's that,
no.
But I'm always
the way the global warming is working.
No,
we don't know anything because California has had snow.
Oh
and
yeah,
not just the mountains.
No, it's true. It's true.
So who knows? Atlanta had full blown snow. They was making snowmen.
Where was this?
Atlanta. Last week.
Well, we saw that. We have family in Atlanta.
Yeah.
We were sending up and everything. I know.
Yeah.
It was. They look really pretty though.
Child, it's only pretty when you don't have to shovel it. I live by myself. I was outside shoveling this morning. Okay.
Wow.
Me.
Wow. And this is Flora. Hi, Flora fellows. Hi, how are you? And welcome to the show. And Antonio, you said, how are we doing today? We're doing just fine. Antonio, thank you, and Lori for coming. And you said you're excited. Oh yes. Well, I think we all are. This, like I said, the lady is a powerhouse. She may be petite, but she's a powerhouse. Okay. And then we also have, Nanette. I'm sorry. Nanette said, hi, Mary. Nanette is a regular. Hi, Nanette. Nanette is our fact checker.
Come on, Nanette.
She does anything we talk about and I don't know the answer to. Nanette will go check it for me and then get the answer for me. So thank you, Nanette. And this Antonio. Antonio says, hi, Nanette. That's how you know they're regulars. They're talking to each other. So, and then we have.
Okay, come on, Q Sci-Fi.
Listen from Washington, D.C.
Come on, fellow Greek.
Wow. Welcome.
On, fellow Greek.
Welcome to the show. Glad you're here. And this is, you said, I am Pyro, Mary, Richard Nichols. So Richard must have put up on his Facebook because I had put there, they've been sharing the flyer. Thank you. Thank you for coming today. And Nanette says, hi, Antonio. Nanette and Antonio, you guys. Now, Antonio is an artist too, just so you know. Okema, and we've been buying his artwork, and he has Christmas cards. Antonio is autistic, and we to support him and what he's doing.
I love that. Well, listen, we need to buy more art from artists that are living because the artists that are not don't need the money.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Okema.
I mean, it's an investment depending on who that artist is.
Right.
But buying from living artists help them today.
It does.
So make sure that for every artist that you buy that is dead, that you buy from two artists that are alive. You're
right about that. Now, this is from Mimi. It says, no, I wanted to hear that. I'm so proud of you and I don't know you. Thank you for your efforts. Oh, I tell you, when I tell you, you will know her. Let me just say that. Years ago, I was at the NAACP Awards and I literally walked up to Ava DuVernay. No entourage. She was just standing in the middle of the floor and walked over to her. Had I had a camera, I would have taken a picture, but I didn't. And I look back at that time, but I was able to walk up and talk to her. That is like, now I probably couldn't do that. And that's how I feel about you, Okema.
You can always walk up and talk to me.
No, but the day will come, I will not be able to do that.
The day will come, I'll be like, let her through. That's my sister. I'm not, now don't get me wrong. People are crazy. So you do need, once you get to a certain level, you do need people watching your back.
You do.
But if I know you and we are kin in some way, and it doesn't mean blood, doesn't always have to mean blood, then there's no way that I'm going to be somewhere. I may not be able to sit and talk for long, but I'm never going to not acknowledge the presence of the people that I know that have supported me as I've been trying to climb this ladder, just because I've gotten to a rung that's higher than I was when we first met. Like, that's stupid.
Oh, people, I know, but I will say.
I mean, listen, people get a little, folks be folksing, but I'm not folks.
Okay, well, I say that because now just that one incident, and she was so kind. Let me say this too.
She's I don't know her personally.
Yes.
I've only encountered her once. And that was before she was the Ava we knew. That was when she was a publicist. But at the time, I believe she was working with Kim Fields, and I had my own digital magazine at that time, and we were trying to interview Kim. And she was so kind and gave us time with Kim. And fast forward 12 years, I was in a pilot that Kim directed last year. So it's like, you just never know how the world kind of
You don't. And all I kept thinking was, she doesn't even know you, but she was just the way she interacted with me. And she said, thank you for coming up. And it was for not 13, Selma. She was nominated for NAACP awards for Selma. And I just wanted her to know that we so appreciate her work. And she was thanking me. She said, you did not have to come over and say that to me. So thank you. And I'm sitting up here, I'm like, lady, there's nothing but admiration. And who would I be not to be in the room with you and not let you know that?
Well, some people are shy, which is fine. And some people are also, a little tepid. But I tell people all the time, just be mindful of your delivery, but telling people like how they make, I do it all the time. Telling people how they make you feel is important. Like I just finished working with Michelle Buteau, and we were talking on social recently, and she was talking about how Hoda, when she was when she worked in news, she'd like do the overnight edits, and Hoda was the only person that would talk to her and like see her. Like people, because she was just a runner, like nobody, but Hoda would stop and talk to her. Wow. And so she was on Hoda recently, and she was like, you saw me before anybody knew the me that I am today. And I just want to tell you, thank you. And I was like, but Michelle, that's how I see you. You know what I mean? Writing for you was scary as hell. Like she was the host of the Ebony Power 100. So I was writing the script for her and Tone Bell from, Tone is the male, her best friend on Survival of the Thickest, the gentleman. Mm-hmm. But they are extremely experienced and established stand-up comedians. Wow. Do you know how hard it is to write a show script for people that are already comedians that write?
No, I can't even imagine that.
Incredibly scary and intimidating. And they were so kind. And, for them, because they're so experienced, my script was a roadmap. Like, take it, do what you want. But they kept like 65% of it.
Wow.
So, the fact she didn't have to do that. And she was so kind and so generous with her time. And they were so consistent. And then when I produced the live show, like even then they were so kind and just sweet. And, so I'm like, that's how I see you. So it's important to let people know how they make you feel.
It is.
A lot of times people will hear all of their accolades thrown back at them, which is great. But when you tell them how they make you feel, it's very different than a regurgitation of their resume, right? Like we talk all the time and you check in on me all the time. Let me tell y'all, Mary checks in on me all the time. She knows that I've been having a hard go of it for, what some people may not know. Last year, I was planning to elope in May. I left the relationship in March. And it tore me apart. And then I also wasn't working. I didn't have any job, no income, no opportunities, no nothing for like almost a year.
I remember.
And so I was heartbroken and broke. Child, not a good combination. But I had people like Mary, Tressa, and a host of other people that would check on me and remind me that I'm going to be okay and that it will turn around. I'm still kind of waiting for the turnaround part, but here we are, right? Like,
yeah.
And so, and as like I was telling Mary something she didn't know earlier, like I am a 2-time suicide survivor. And so at this place in time in my life, it's really important that I don't allow myself to go but so low because I know where that could take me if I'm not careful. Thankfully now through therapy, prayer, I have the tools to really kind of help myself. I also have a great therapist who is, not on call, but close enough.
Yeah.
But, I am, conscious of having to stay on top of my mental health because I've been in a place where my lows took me very low and God spared my life by my own hand twice. So I can't muck this up. You know what I mean? Like I can't mess this up because he kept me here for something. So it's up to me to do the work to figure out what that something is.
Well, Okema, I tell you, I know, as you know, prayer works. Prayer works. So I'm so thankful that you are here. Like I said, you've affected me, whether you knew it or not, and you probably didn't, but and I told you this before they even show us that I'm a fan. I'm a fan of yours. So I'm one of the people that are so glad you're here and so glad your creativity that you're contributing to society, because that's what the creativity does. You're contributing to society. So, and this is what Nanette says, let your accomplishments be known. See, Okema, isn't I think that is we like I said, we and I do it, so I know that's why I understood when you were saying that. We make ourselves small. I think I do it because I don't want to feel like I'm bragging. That's what I think it is. But I think some of it is because we feel like are people gonna still be your friend? If they
But sometimes people show you that they're not. But what I had to learn is that then those aren't your people. Because the people that love you will allow you the space to shine and will shine lights on you too. And so people that don't, and I mean, you want to be cognizant. Like if you have a friend that is also creative and they're like down bad, you don't want to start talking about all the things you've done.
Right.
But
Right.
at the same time, the people that love you legitimately will give you space to express your things. But
Right.
like, look at the other thing that's happening today, right? Like, so clearly, if you go through life with the confidence of a mediocre white man, you can do anything.
You're right. That's what it's showing. That's what it's showing because convicted felon and you're the president of the United States. Come on now. Come on. I mean, that in itself is like, wow. So what
Nice
you're
to meet you,
saying,
Antonio.
no, I didn't even read Antonio said. So to me, it shows that there is no limit now to what you can be anything now. That's what today really means. It used to be you couldn't be divorced. That's no longer there. Now we have someone that's been divorced 2 or 3 times. That used to be a no-no. That's no longer there. You could not even have a ticket almost, and that's no longer there. All those things that we used to put as you have to reach these certain standards, they're no longer there. That's what today is. They're no longer there. And let me see what Antonio says. Hi, Sister Okema. My name is Brother Antonio Human, and I am an artist and an entrepreneur and a singer and a writer and a poet. Go ahead, Antonio. And a pianist and a musician with autism. That's Antonio. Antonio is one of my biggest fans. We literally talk almost every day. So it's been between Antonio and Lori, that's his mom. I think they saw me on YouTube now about 2 years ago, and they don't miss a show. They're here.
I love it. Well, Antonio, you can absolutely get in contact with me via social media. You can find me on social at Okema, Okemat Moore. So my name, just at my name.
Yep. Oh, and this is Doll. Hi, Doll. She said, hello, Mary. This is Doll. Their name is Doll Farina, but everybody calls her Doll. And this is Me To You says, good energy is what is being sent to your wonderful creatives. You are supported. Oh, that's beautiful. Beautiful. And Me To You, I tell you what, I don't know if what's your real name. I know it's maybe your handle.
I think it says Mimi to you.
Oh, Mimi To You. Okay.
So her name is probably Mimi, I think.
Okay. Mimi. Hi, Mimi. Antonio says,
Antonio,
you and we be praying for you. Oh, and supporting you and cheering you on. Oh, I know. And we do, Okema. Well, let me ask you this. When did you know that this is what you would like to do, or what was the first inkling for you?
So my mother was a very young mother. And she acted, she sang, she modeled, she wrote. But you're talking about in the late 70s when it wasn't the world we live in today, right? The access, the access, the outlets, etc. My biological father is from Guyana. My mother she grew up here, but her side of the family is Bajan and Creole. And my biological father is Guyanese. So I lived in Guyana with my father for a while. But my father was a reggae artist, what they call a roots artist. He's a Rastafarian, that whole thing. But the story goes, I was singing before I was talking. Because I used to sit on my father's lap and he would play his guitar and we would sing. And so that was always like a thing as a child. But at 6, I was here in the States for good. I mean, I would go back and forth to visit and stuff like that, but I was here for good. And I had gotten cast on Sesame Street. So I did Sesame Street from 84 to 85. I was a Grouch Katir because I was really, really tiny and Big Bird's costume was huge. So at first I was supposed to be in Big Bird's flap gang, but I was afraid of his costume. I was afraid of him because he was so big. So instead, they stuck a garbage can on my head and put some dirt on my face, and I was Grafiteer. And so did that. After I did like a season or so of that. After that, one summer, I was back home in Guyana, and like we're talking like 86 or so. So there was not all these channels and all this access or what have you. And like, how many times are you gonna watch Solid Gold and Soul Train? And so I have found this VHS tape, because yes, I'm that old. I found this VHS tape of Whoopi Goldberg's One Woman Show. Now at 8, I should never have been watching that, right? But I saw this chocolate woman, because back then I was probably about a good 5 shades darker because I was always in the islands. But I saw this chocolate woman with this fluffy hair like mine, and she was on stage by herself playing all these characters, doing all these skits, and I was like, I want to do that. By the end of the summer, I knew the whole thing from front to back.
Wow.
The whole tape I knew every word, every skit, every song from front to back by the end of that summer. But what I didn't realize when I said that I want to do that, what I didn't know is Whoopi was also the first Black woman to write, direct, and produce her own special, which was that show.
Right.
I did not realize that I was manifesting more than just what I thought I saw.
Right.
Right. And so by my teen years, I was in a group. We were touring with we were the opening act for the Black Expo and a few other music conferences. So we were opening for like Intro, SWV, Joe, blah, blah, blah. Then we signed a deal when I was in 95. I think I was 16. I was signed to Tamar Braxton's ex-husband, Vince, and Gladys Knight's ex-husband, Barry Hankerson. We were what Black Ground would become, because it was pre-Aaliyah.
Wow.
We got shelved, and then my mother was like, that was cute, you going to college. She's like, that was cute, you did your tours, you did all that, that's great. It didn't work, you going to college. So after college, I left New York, moved to the Philly, Delaware area, and I was singing background for music for a while. And I was a background session singer for Def Soul for a little bit, but I still didn't have traction as a solo artist because I was in a group for so long. And it was like at that time, the music business was changing heavily, and I didn't like it. And I had also been through some unfortunate kind of Me Too stuff because I was by myself and I really didn't know what I was doing because I had been in a group where I was a minor. So all the adults were taking care of all of the things. I was guessing. And I would find myself in really precarious situations, studios late at night with male engineers and just places and spaces that I, in my naivete, thought people were looking to help me and they were looking to help themselves. And so I was just like, I don't want to do this no more. So in 2004, I moved back to New York. By 2006, I was like, okay, well, I can sing and act together. So I started doing musical theater. So I did Dreamgirls, I did Wine in the Wilderness, I did a bunch of plays, Broadway, etc. And I was like, okay, theater's fun, but I want to do more acting, like straight acting, television, what have you. But how many times are you going to audition for like Baby Mama number 4, Around the Way Girl number 7? Like how many times? And, it was still at a place where colorism was very big, texturism was very big. And so if you are this short, curvy, brown skinned girl, when brown wasn't really, Kelly Rowland rolled into brown girls because brown was not a thing. Mm-hmm. It was, and then once you had the boom of ethnically ambiguous women, we really had to kind of take, like, if you didn't have a name already, it was hard to get roles. Many a time I was looked over for roles because it went to the light and curly girls. And shout out to my, mixed sisters, light and curly sisters. But it's hard when you're not that, but you still train, spend all this money to train as an actor and a singer and all this stuff. And you get overlooked because you're not light skinned and curly. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, maybe I'll start writing. I'm a writer. I was already a journalist. So I was like, I know how to write, I know how to research. Great. But who's going to pay for it? Because I don't have no money. I had money. I was working on Wall Street doing all of this. Like while I was doing all of this, I was working in finance. Wow. And so I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I learned how to produce. I went to NYU. I did their producing program, non-matriculated because ain't nobody have $160,000 to give to Tish. And I already had a business degree from Brooklyn College. So why? By 2015, I was like, if I continue to put my dreams and relegate them to nights and weekends, no matter how much money I'm making at this hedge fund, when am I going to actually do it? And so I just couldn't take it anymore. I hated Wall Street. I hated the environment. I hated the culture. I just hated all of it. And it was before there was DEI. So I was the one that I was Black. I was a woman. So I checked all the boxes, and like I was surrounded by mediocre white men with very, very large egos and no respect. And I was over it. So I left in 2015 at the age of 36. I left Wall Street, making six figures damn near. Once you threw in a bonus, six figures, low six figures, but six figures, to make $10 an hour as a PA.
Wow.
And it just kind of ballooned from there. I started making my own stuff. I had already been making my own stuff by the time I left Wall Street. By 2015, I had already made several one-act plays that had won some awards, a full-length play that had won an award. I had made a short film. I had produced some other stuff for other people. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go try. And fortunately, I had people on my team that believed in me and would give me gigs here and there. And by 2017, I landed my first job in television, which was initially as an office PA for Oprah's Masterclass. And by the end of the season, I was the coordinator. From there, I went to Chopped and was a producer. And it just kind of snowballed from there.
That I'm just sitting here going, wow. I mean, just when you said you took basically it was a leap of faith.
Everybody thought I was stupid, including my parents. And at the time, they just didn't understand the business or me or what I wanted. And, you know, there wasn't support. Like, I can remember my parents telling me, when you're leaving this big fancy firm, when you're broke and don't have nothing, don't call us because you chose this.
Wow.
You know, and I don't blame them, because that was kind of a scared straight tactic, right? Like, creatives understand that friends and family that try to deter you from chasing your dreams are only in their mind trying to save you. They're trying to save you the trouble, the stress, the heartache, the rejection. Yes. They don't mean harm. They just don't know how to support you if you are doing a thing that they could never imagine. Yes. If you ain't got no people in your family that been on TV or that make TV and film that they know, how could you decide that you dare think you're going to do it? They can only see you as large as they see themselves. Woo. So when they discourage you or they don't support you, it's not because they don't love you. It's because they love you. So they think they're helping you avoid the ugly of the industry, not realizing that you got to figure that out for yourself. Today, as things have been so tight and so crazy, my parents have been like, my mother has been the mother I've always wanted. You know what I mean? At this point in time. But it took her 40-something years to get there. Right?
But she's there. She's there.
So yes. When I was like, oh, I'm not working. It's tight. I think I'm going to have to go back to like a corporate gig or something. And I literally had a panic attack in my therapy session talking about it. And my mother was like, then that means that's not what you're going to do. Yeah. And we got to figure something else out.
Wow. That's even to hear that, that's not what you're going to do. When I went to my principal and I was teaching and said I was going to retire, I didn't know I could write, by the way. That was not even in the plan. It wasn't even I didn't know anything. I just knew that I had done this for over 30 years. It was time to find out what else I could do. And the lady did everything to talk me out of it. And she even told me I'm going through a midlife crisis, all that. But I knew in my very spirit, I knew it was just time. And I told her this, here we are sitting in the office. And I said, we only have so much time on this planet. We don't get to stay here forever. This is not a forever trip. Whatever it is out there that I need to find out, I need to go find it out. And she's like, well, what if you leave this quote unquote good paying job and you find nothing? And
then you take them same skills that you got to get that good paying job and get another one.
My thing was, at least I'll know. If I stay here, I will never know.
You're going to wonder. And listen, my grandpa used to say something all the time. If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk.
That's right.
So like, are you going to try? Now, the world is set up now where you can still do what you're doing and pursue the other things until it is space for you to take the leap. I took the leap because I was having panic attacks and crying every morning going to work. So I could not do it anymore. Just emotionally, my spirit was done and I couldn't do it. So I took the leap. I don't send that message to anyone. Bet on yourself, but don't put yourself. I wasn't ready to retire. I wasn't in a space to retire.
Right.
I was 36. You know what I mean? And I had 401k money that held me up for about a year, but I live in New York. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't tell anybody just go quit your job and don't do that.
I tell people all the time, don't do what I just said. That don't do that, because
don't do that.
I really felt
because that led to my last suicide attempt. If I'm honest.
Was quitting your job?
Well, it was because I had tried that before, but I wasn't ready. And I didn't know I wasn't ready. And it was when I had got laid off. I didn't quit. I got laid off. It was during the market crash of 08, 09. And I had gotten laid off from the hedge fund that I was at the time. And I was like, well, I'm just going to try and do it. And I didn't really know anything. Like, not really. And I couldn't find a job and my unemployment ran out. And I didn't have the relationship with my parents that I have now. So I was too embarrassed to ask for help. And, you know, all the things. My grandfather was passing and he was the only person that really like held me down when I was trying to do this, paid for classes, gave me money from rent, like, but he was dying. So I couldn't go to him. Like, and so, you know, I laid in my bed for 3 days and then I was like, I'm out of here. And, you know, it was God sending a very good friend of mine as I was getting ready. Like I had the knife in my hand.
Oh my God.
And my bell rang.
Ah.
And I wasn't going to answer it. But then when I didn't answer the bell, he started knocking on the window.
Now you know
the bedroom, and I looked at myself and I looked at this knife and I had it on my skin. Like I was ready. And I dropped it and I went to the door and I just started crying and I had a fever. Like I was a mess. And we weren't dating, but we were good friends. That man stayed in my house for 2 days and brought me back. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot. It's a lot.
People are, and don't, like we mentioned about why people cry, like you said, when they get awards, because how many people want to give up? How many people think they're not good enough, or like you said, going through financial crisis, just like, or sleeping on their friend's couch. And I mean, we've heard the stories. Tyler Perry homeless, Kevin Hart homeless.
So I worked on that whole season of Masterclass when it was Tyler Perry, Kevin Hart, Steve Harvey, and that was 2 years after I had left that job and was broke, and that job did not pay well at all. And it was listening to these stories of these people that made me say, because I was going to quit. After the first week at Oprah's Masterclass, I called my mentor, Patrick. I called Patrick. I was like, nope, I want to do this. This is ridiculous. Nope, I already made things. And he was like, what you're not going to do is that. Hang up my phone, get off my phone, and go back to work. Thank you.
Wow.
But you need those people in your life.
You do. You really,
when they say your network is your net worth, it's not just about knowing people that can get you money or jobs. It's about knowing people that will emotionally finance you, that will emotionally sponsor you.
You're right.
You know what I mean? Mary will tell you, I cry in class every week. I cry in class every week. I'm crying about something.
That's just, but you know, crying is therapy.
Well, of course. Of course it is, but I also don't log into class saying, what am I crying in front of these people about today? Like that's also not on my bingo card when I log into class.
No.
But I cry most of the time. My tears are tears of gratitude because you guys are so supportive and like giving me all this love at times where I feel so low and so unlovable and unworthy and, you know, behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, I know. I get it. We have a comment. This is our executive producer, Oliver Welch. Oliver says, hi, Okema. Thank you for joining the show and blessing us with your accolades. Also, thanks to you the regular audience who makes the show successful. And it does. They to see their names pop up, it makes a difference. So all of you. So Oliver, it's those of you know he's behind the scenes. They only see Oliver once a year. So it's like he's this enigma of a person. And I keep telling him, I said, Oliver's there. Somebody actually said that to me. Does Oliver really exist? I said,
no, not them calling Oliver Charlie.
Is that what it is?
Not them making Oliver like Charlie.
I know.
From the Angels.
I know. But he does. He'll come at Christmas. He comes on, and he'll talk to. And really, we were in Atlanta for Christmas. One of our sons live in Atlanta. He came on the show. Our granddaughter came on the show. Oliver came. I was so proud they all came on because they never really get a chance to see the family. So that was the time they all came on the show. But I know. And you said this is Mimi to you. She says, I don't know your work, yet this sounds like something to write about. You have so many stories in you, dear one. You have something to give us. Oh, like Okema. I already know. I tell you, this is the audience talking. It's not me talking. It's they're saying you are such a beautiful, loving person. You really, really are. And I thank God that whoever knocked at your door, however God saved you, you're here for a reason. Don't ever think that you're not. You're here. I mean, from day one, when you came on into the class, I was like, who is this powerhouse of a little lady here? I mean, who is she? But at the same time, knowing your talents, they go before you. You are you're a phenomenal. You're a woman that we will see your Ava DuVernay. Your day is coming. Your day. I mean, like you said, you knew she was a publicist. Who knew that for I think it was like 5 years, she was at home watching movies, learning to be a director. 5 years.
She applied to Sundance every time and never got in. To the festival, to the labs, nothing until Middle of Nowhere. That was when she got into the festival.
Wow. You see, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know. I just know of her more than anything else.
Yeah, no, Ava had applied for a bunch of, I mean, and I know what that's like. Like, you know how many festivals and not festivals, but labs I've applied to where I feel like I'm always the bridesmaid and never the bride. Mm-hmm. But while labs and fellowships are great, they're not the end all be all into the business, as we know.
Right.
And, you also have to keep trying, but you also have to know when not to do it, right? Like I had applied for the commercial diversity directing program 6 times. 5 times, 6 times, something like that. First 3 times I applied, I wasn't ready, but I didn't know that. And I was going for it, right? Cool. Right. 4th time I applied, I was a semifinalist.
Wow.
5th time I applied, I was a finalist. Now I was going to apply again, but they wasn't given, usually what it is you finalists and semifinalists get to take the workshops, but the actual fellows get mentors from the creative agencies and $25,000 to make a spec commercial.
Wow.
The final year I was going to apply, they took the $25,000 away. I was like, I done had 3 commercials that I directed on television. I'm not going to apply if y'all don't have no money. Like, right. Thank you. The program is now defunct.
Wow.
So I knew not to apply for the year that I like. You gotta. It's Kenny Rogers said it. Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, and know when to run. That's right. That is this business.
Wow.
And you can't let your ego be bigger than the moment because you'll miss stuff. But you also gotta advocate for yourself sometimes. But that's why discernment is so important. I pray for discernment all the time. Lord, please tell me the things to say no to. Please tell me the things that I don't want to say yes to say yes to. Please give me the patience and the discipline that when I say yes, I give 100%, even though I don't want to be here or do this thing or be with this person.
Right. Yes, it's real. It's real because I know too, you were the showrunner for, what was it, 100 Black women? I don't know the title.
No, I was not the showrunner for Ebony Power 100. I was the writer and the producer, and the writer. I show ran a series for Brick TV called Hella Late. It was a variety talk show.
Okay.
Made by this wonderful Black comedian named Holly Harper. And so I directed and show ran that program for them. But even with that, like I had been producing for Brick for years, and I used to be an on-air personality for them prior to that for years. And so when I got the opportunity to show run, I was like, okay, I finally am like in the executive chair. Because I had show run for them before, but it didn't get the credit.
Oh.
Which also happens in our business. Sometimes you have to suck it up and do it because you're doing it and know that it's lending to when it will be your turn. Like just like with the NAACP. This is my third or fourth time on a project that was nominated, but this is the first time my name will be on the card.
Wow.
Because Oprah's Masterclass's final season was nominated, but I was just a coordinator. I would have had nothing to do with the program or any, you know what I mean? Like I didn't matter. Not when it came to the awards.
Right.
And then in 2020, that was 2018. In 2020, I was the producer and post-production supervisor and production manager and line producer for this series called Unladylike with PBS American Masters. And we were nominated for that. But again, though I had all those titles, I was not the main producer. So I still wasn't on the card.
Right.
The season of Beat Bobby Flay that was nominated, I was a segment producer. As a segment producer, I'm writing Bobby's intros, the chef's intros, the bio packs. I'm doing the interviews, but my name don't even appear on television on the credits. It doesn't appear on the TV.
Wow.
So for us to now be nominated and to be the contact for the nomination, to be the lead producer, my name is on the thing. This is the first time that I've been in the realm of something being nominated, and I'm a part of the work.
I can tell you, to me, what it shows is that all the other work, it came to this. You know what I mean? That all that other experience you were getting, even though you were not, quote unquote, like you said, on the card and all that. Look where you are now, though. You are.
I'm grateful. I worked really hard. And I still have a lot more to learn and a lot more to do and a lot more to figure out. But, it's people like you and places like this, thank you so much for having me on your show, for finding my story worth sharing with your audience. Because you don't have to, you know what I mean? You don't have to. And so I genuinely appreciate it. And so I just try to work from a place of like gratitude and help, being conscious to not be taken advantage of, but also remembering that like I didn't have a me a lot of time. So I want to be the me that I didn't have in this thing, which is why I'm so transparent. My mother hates it. Then you share too much. I'm like, I know, but mommy, nobody's telling women about, especially women. For me, it's very much about women. Right. For me, it's very much about women. It's about queer people, Black people. Like nobody tells us how this stuff really works. Yeah. And the bias that we both conscious and unconscious bias that we come up against, and how we will do all the work and some white person or some man will come and take all the credit, or how you've done all this work on a project and your name doesn't appear in the credits at the end of the thing on television. You know what I mean? Or how you have to push and advocate to be included in the, credit roll or whatever. Right. Nobody talks about that stuff, or how isolating it is when your career is doing well, but your other creative friends is not, and they don't know how to support you. Or when their career is doing well and yours is not, and you have to be a better person and support them, but also deal with your internal feelings of like, why not me, or envy, or whatever. All of that is real, and nobody talks about it.
They don't. And I think you've mentioned it because you want them, everybody, you want to do well and you want them to do well.
Right. But you can't be one of those, I want you to do well, just not better than me humans, because that's ugly.
It's true. There's a
lot of people out there. That's
everything ugly. You're saying nobody talks about.
Which is why I am so transparent, because the feedback and the DMs and the messages that I get from the people that I'm speaking to that don't hear people openly talk about this, or openly talk about pay, openly talk about the budgets in this thing. Yeah. Openly talk about when to take that non-paying job because it might be beneficial, and when to be like, you trying to play me, you playing in my face. Like those kind of people don't talk about it. And so it's important to talk about. When I worked at Oprah's Masterclass, I met the director at a talk that New York Women in Film and Television was having. I wasn't on the board or anything yet. I was just a member, and I was just surprised they even let me in because you got to apply. And they said that the director for Oprah's Masterclass is coming. I was so hyped because I had never seen the show or even knew about the show before. And I was crying because I didn't have a gig and I was going broke again. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and that particular night, it just so happened that Oprah's episode of Oprah's Masterclass was on. Wow. And I watched it and I bawled because she talked about everything I was going through. And then a few weeks later, come to find out, the director is going to be at this NIWF talk. I was like, oh my God. And then I get there and this little blonde hair, blue-eyed lady walks in, and I was like, well, who's that? And they were like, the director. I was like, what? And they were like, Oprah's Masterclass. I was like, Black Oprah? And they was like, yeah. And I was like, really? Baby, by the time that thing was done, I wouldn't have cared if she was pink with purple polka dots. I was like, it was like back in the day with DJs, I will carry your records for free if you teach me how to scratch. Like, that was it. Yeah. And I told that lady I didn't care what she had, I would do it. And she called me 2 months later and was like, I have a job. It doesn't pay much, but you'll be working with me every single day and I'll teach you what I know.
Wow.
To this day, she is one of my biggest supporters. She wrote my recommendation letter for the PGA. She wrote my recommendation for Sundance. She's written recommendations for me over and over again. And then when I was on the board she was one of the recommenders for me for the board of NIWF.
Wow.
So like,
you just don't know. This is, and like you said, you can't base it. It's not based on race. It may not even
sometimes it is.
It can be, but I'm just saying.
Sometimes it is.
And sometimes it isn't. We don't know.
Sometimes it isn't. And that's the thing. I had no idea. Again, I still was learning how the real industry works, not the indie industry, but the real industry.
Right.
Because you're talking 2015, 2017, 2018. It wasn't like now where all of this access and things it wasn't that. And so I didn't know that like a lot of Black shows are made by white production companies. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that a lot of your favorite things, we aren't in the mix of making them. We are in the mix of consuming them. And I didn't know a lot of this.
And I don't want the show to cut off. And so ladies and gentlemen, normally we end at 2:00. The system, thank goodness, did not cut us off. Sometimes it does, by the way, but it didn't. So I was keeping the show going because I am enjoying this. It is after 2. So those of you that have to go, I'm going to let you go. But before I do want to, number one, thank you, Okema. Thank you so much. Because I know how busy you are. I know you have. Even as we're talking, you're probably already looking at your to-do list.
Oh, girl, I gotta go to Apollo for 7:00.
But you took time out of your day to be on the show.
Of course, you took time to ask me, so I had to make the time to do it.
Well, thank you so much. You've given so much. I mean, I'm sitting here going, wow. You've encouraged me because there are times that I'm like, well, maybe I'm not good enough, and I just.
Maybe listen. Anytime you need somebody to remind you of who the F you are, you call me, okay? You call me. I'll remind you.
So I want to thank you because it has been. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is hard stuff. We don't talk about because when we see the awards, it all looks good. You don't know what they went through to get there.
You're just watching the highlight reel. You've not seen the behind the scenes. So you can't base stuff on just listen. It's like Instagram. It takes 25 selfies to get the selfie you want. Then you still throw a filter on it. So like, just don't take what you're seeing at face value. Know that there's so much work and insecurity and like, and questioning and joy and favor that lives behind that thing you're looking at that you want. And if you're not willing to put in the time to like be up and down about it, maybe that's not the thing that you really need to go after. If you're here for money, find something else to do. If you're trying to be an artist to be rich, find another thing. If you're trying to be an artist to be famous, find another thing. But if you're trying to be an artist to make things that people will benefit from, either spiritually, emotionally, creatively, distraction, like today, everybody needed a distraction today because who was watching that mess? Not me. So you know what I mean? Like you want to make work for your audience and for yourself, then you're here for the right reasons and the byproducts will follow. And it may not even be in the way that you think. It may not be at the cadence you think. It may not be at the level that you think. But if you're here to make the thing that is inside of you, then you go and you make it. And then you hope for the best with what is left of yourself after you've done that. But if you're here for any other reason, find another thing to do, because this will not fill your love void. This will not fill your insecurity void. This will not fill your I was a cornball back in the day, but now people know my name void. This is not going to do none of that. Not going to do none of that. Right?
So you got to know, what are you here for?
Your why should be the reason why you do this every day.
Yeah.
When I hate this business, I still love what I do.
Isn't that something?
Because I hate this business a lot.
Yeah.
But I still love what I do, and I love the people I do it with.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I would. And I'm going to tell you, on that note, we're going to close the show. And believe it or not, Okema, the only one that has stayed on after 2:00 of all my guests. And this is my close to 200th show.
Come on, 200 shows. Are we packaging this up for Roku? Because you know that over 60 episodes of anything on Roku is big stuff, and you can syndicate that. Ma'am, we got talking to do.
We got
You're not doing something right.
I'm not, because I don't see. I remember I said that. I was telling you.
We gonna talk. No. We just gonna book a session.
We are.
Mm-hmm.
We are. Sounds good. So,
ladies, you hear me, Mr. Welsh? You hear me? So don't let her get away with not doing it. No. We got to. Yes, Mr. Oliver, you make her do it.
But I want to thank you so much. And then I told you, we'll see you in May. We have a granddaughter graduating from. In fact, she's in Tisch. She's going to be a film editor.
God bless her for having the $160,000 that they asked for. God bless you, sister, or scholarships or whatever. Because baby, I ain't have it.
Her father mortgaged their home to do it.
I get you.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Right here. I get you.
I'm like, anyway, but they did it. She graduates in May, and we're just so proud of her. I know we have another granddaughter that her goal is to be an actress and a model. So we're,
come on.
I know, I'm so proud of these girls. I'm like, wow. Just in fact that they would go into the field at it, but they see their grandmother, and I keep thinking, I think you're making it look easy. Maybe that's so. But thank you again, Okema. I just love you. We're going to talk, and I would definitely like to have you back on the show again.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you. And
thank you, everyone, for your beautiful comments and commentary and your support. It really does mean the most. So please follow me on social at Okema Timor. I will follow you back. And, if there are ways that I can support you within reason of my crazy schedule, I will do my best. But keep supporting Sister Mary. She is doing all the great, wonderful things, and she is here for us. So let's make sure we are there for her.
Oh, thank you. And these comments are still coming in. As Mary, Oliver, and Okema. Then this one came in from Sheila. Hi, Sheila. And she said this was an awesome show. So thank you again, Okema. God bless you. And we'll talk soon.
Yes, ma'am.
All righty. Take care, everybody. See you next Monday.